All right, no new lesson notes today, so we're going to go right into the examples. So our first two things is going to be to complete the table here. So here we have a rotation in degrees, okay? And notice all of these angles of rotation are bigger than 360. So we're first going to find a coterminal positive angle between 0 and 360. So that means I'm going to keep subtracting 360 until I get an angle between 0 and 360. So for example, 380 minus 360 is 20 degrees. Okay? 450 minus 360 is 90 degrees. 500 minus 360 is 140 degrees. 740 minus 360 equals 380. So I'm going to have to subtract 360 again and get a coterminal angle of 20 degrees. And then 900 minus 360 is 540. So once again, I'm going to have to subtract 360 again. And I get 180 degrees. Okay? All right. So now we're going to find the x-coordinates and the y-coordinates. So to find the x-coordinates and y-coordinates, go back to some of our previous lesson notes. Remember, in a unit circle, x-coordinate is cosine and y-coordinate is sine. So to figure out the x-coordinate and y-coordinate, I'm simply going to take the cosine and the sine of each of these angles here. All right, so I'm going to take the cosine and the sine of each of these angles. All right, so to do that, I'm going to go to Desmos. Okay, let's pull up Desmos here. So let me make sure I'm in degree mode. I am. So I'm going to do cosine of 20, cosine of 90, cosine of 140, right? Cosine of 20 again, and cosine of 180. So I can fill those numbers into the table. So 0.94, 0, negative 0.77, 0.94, and negative 1. Okay? And then to find the y-coordinate, I'm going to take the sines of all those angles. So now I'm just going to go into Desmos here, and I'm going to switch all the cosines to sines. Easy as that. Okay, so this will be 0.34, 1, 0.64, 0.34 again, and 0. And you can see, let me move this out of the way. I've now filled in the entire table. Okay. All right, and now I'm going to do the same thing for number 2, except notice now I'm starting with negative angles rotation. So now to find a coterminal positive angle between 0 and 360, I have to add 360 until I get a positive angle between 0 and 360. So negative 40 plus 360 is 320 degrees. Negative 90 plus 360 is 270 degrees. By the way, again, I'm using the calculator on my phone again. So negative 120 plus 360 is 240 degrees. Negative 180 plus 360 is positive 180. Negative 240 plus 360 is 120 degrees. Negative 270 plus 360 is 90. And negative 360 plus 360 is 0. Okay, so I filled that in. Now, all I'm going to do is do the same thing I just did before. So the x-coordinate, I need to do cosine, and for y-coordinate, I need to do sine. So I'm just going to quickly do this on Desmos again. So let me erase all these. So I need to do cosine of 320, cosine of 270, cosine of 240, cosine of 180, cosine of 120, cosine 90, and cosine 0. And I'll just fill these into a table. So 0.77, 0, negative half, negative 1, negative half, 0, and 1. And then my y-coordinates, I'm going to do the same thing, but I'm going to change it to sine. So I'm just going to go through and change all of these cosines to sines. Okay, and now I can fill those into the table. So negative 0.64, negative 1, negative 0.87, 0, 0.87, 1, and 0. All right, so there I completed the table for number 2. Okay, so now let's go to our second set of examples. Okay. Name 3 different positive angles such that sine of x equals 1. Okay, so if I assume that this is a unit circle, all right, and I go back and look at my past lesson notes, sine, remember, goes with y. Sine goes with y. So what this is really telling me is that the y values equals 1. So the y value being 1 is either going to be up here or it could be down here. So sine being 1 is actually just going to be up here. What am I talking about? All right, it's just going to be up here because this is 0 and then going up 1. So the angle is up here. So if I start at 0, this would be a 90-degree rotation. So that would be one positive angle of rotation. Another positive angle of rotation would be to take 90 and add 360 to it. So 450 degrees would mean go around the circle once and then go to 90. I could then add 360 again. So that would be 810 degrees. That would mean go around the circle counterclockwise twice and then go an additional 90 degrees. So that's the answer to number 3. Name 3 different negative angles such that sine of x equals 1. So now I can take 90 and I could subtract 360. That would be the same as going in the clockwise direction. So 90 minus 360 would be negative 270. All right, if I wanted to do an extra full rotation, I could subtract 360 again and get negative 630 degrees. And then I could subtract 360 yet again and get negative 990 degrees. Okay, all 6 of these angles, the 3 positives and the 3 negatives, would all end in this same spot up top here. Okay, your cool down tonight is going to be very similar to what I just did in numbers 3 and 4. And that's it for lesson 8.